Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to today's video. In today's video, we're taking a look at a ship with a truly mighty history, one that some of you may already know, the TS FairSky. She was a turbine steamship, a one-class Italian-styled passenger ship, best known for her service on the migrant route from Britain to Australia, sailing from May 1958 all the way until February 1972. After a 20-month layup in Southampton, FairSky returned to complete 2 more voyages to Australia before settling at Sydney as a very popular full-time cruise ship. But her story takes a dramatic turn. In 1977, she struck an unmarked wreck, causing damage so severe that repairing her permanently became uneconomic. Eventually, she was sold to a Philippines-based consortium where she was planned to become a static casino and floating hotel. However, during refurbishment in Manila Bay in 1979, a fire broke out on board, destroying her accommodation. The wreck was then towed to Hong Kong and demolished in 1980. Over the course of her service, she carried several names: SS Steel Artisan, USS Barnes, HMS Attacker, the Castel Fort, and finally, TS FairSky. The FairSky was originally laid down in 1941 as the C-3 cargo ship Steel Artisan. However, with the United States entering the Second World War, the vessel was requisitioned by the US government before her launch and converted into an escort aircraft carrier commissioned as USS Barnes of the Navy's Bogue class. Just 3 days after her launch, on the 27th of September 1942, she was transferred to the Royal Navy under the Lend-Lease program, where she entered service as the HMS Attacker. Now, before moving on, let's briefly cover the key specifications of the vessel. The carrier had a gross tonnage of 12,464. She measured 153 meters, which is 502 feet 0 inches in length, with a beam of 21.2 meters, which is again 69 feet 7 inches. Propulsion was provided by 4 diesel engines driving a single shaft, producing 8,500 brake horsepower, which gave the ship a top speed of 17 knots. Her hangar could accommodate up to 24 aircraft, a mix of anti-submarine or fighter planes. Depending on the squadrons embarked and the mission, these could include British aircraft such as the Hawker Sea Hurricane, Supermarine Seafire, or Fairey Swordfish, or American aircraft like the Grumman Wildcat, Vought F-4 U Corsair, or Grumman Avenger. Convoy defense squadrons often carried both fighter and anti-submarine aircraft, while strike carrier squadrons typically operated only fighters. Aircraft facilities included a relatively small combined bridge flight control on the starboard side above the flight deck, measuring 140 meters by 37 meters. There were 2 aircraft lifts and 9 arrestor wires. Aircraft were housed in the hangar below the flight deck, measuring 79 meters by 19 meters. The ship's armament focused on anti-aircraft defense and included 2 4-inch MKV dual-purpose guns in single mounts, 8 40mm Bofors, AA guns in twin mounts, 21 20mm Oerlikon cannons in single and twin mounts. The Attacker was designed to escort convoys, using anti-submarine aircraft such as the Fairey Swordfish initially, later replaced by the Grumman Avenger. These aircraft could carry torpedoes, depth charges, 250-pound, 110-kilogram bombs, or RP-3 rockets. In addition to attacking U-boats, they located submarines for the convoy escorts. Typical anti-submarine patrols ran from dawn to dusk, with one aircraft patrolling about 16 kilometers ahead of the convoy and another astern. Patrols lasted 2 to 3 hours, using radar and visual observation to locate enemy submarines. The attacker also had a secondary role supplying oil and provisions to accompanying destroyers. This could be done while underway and was a time-consuming process. It took 40 minutes to fire a line across, 2 hours to pump 98 tons of oil, and an additional 35 minutes to disconnect and secure the equipment. During the war, HMS Attacker received special honors and awards for her service in key operations, including the Salerno landings in 1943, the Atlantic campaigns of 1943 to 1944, the invasion of southern France in 1944, and operations in the Aegean in 1944. She also saw action in the waters off France and in the Pacific, earning a distinguished wartime record and numerous accolades. After completing her service, she was returned to the United States in January 1946, where she was subsequently laid up and placed on the market. In 1950, the ship was purchased by Alexander Vlasov, a former Russian émigré ship owner. After remaining laid up for another 2 years, she was renamed Castel in 1952 and sent to the Newport News shipyard in the United States for conversion into a refrigerated cargo ship. Under Vlasov's Italian-managed Sitmar line, this plan, however, was soon abandoned, and the vessel returned to lay up. In 1957, Sitmar secured a charter from the Australian government for Castel to transport British migrants to Australia. Major structural work began at the Bethlehem Steel Shipyard in New York, and in December 1957, the ship was moved to Genoa, where interior refitting was completed by May 1958. The transformation resulted in an elegant, modern passenger liner, now renamed the FairSky. The liner offered tourist class accommodation for up to 1,461 passengers in 461 cabins spread across 5 decks, following a layout similar to that of earlier Sitmar vessels, the FairSea and the Castel Felice. The FairSky offered just 7 cabins with private facilities, all located forward on the sun deck, beneath the bridge deck. The entire ship was fitted with air conditioning, and a variety of comfortable public rooms were provided, primarily on the boat deck. Toward the aft of this deck, passengers could enjoy an attractive lido area, complete with a swimming pool cleverly built over a deep hold hatch. The design of the FairSky was heavily influenced by the grand Italian transatlantic liners of the 1950s, making her conversion from a former C3 hull one of the most detailed and impressive of its kind. The ship's interiors were nothing short of spectacular. Let's take a quick look. The Grand Social Hall on the FairSky was the ship's main lounge and evening entertainment venue. Located on the boat deck, it featured a small stage where a 4-piece band played nightly for dancing and social events. A bar at the back served drinks, and the room was furnished with round tables, easy chairs, and curved settees for relaxed socializing. 2 side doors led to an open deck used for games, and the whole connected to nearby spaces like the reading room and children's playroom. On FairSky's long migrant voyages, the Grand Social Hall became the social heart of the ship, a place for passengers to meet, unwind, and enjoy nightly entertainment. The reading and writing room on the TS FairSky was a quiet lounge on the boat deck, just aft of the grand social hall. It served as the ship's small library and letter writing space, with tables for writing and shelves of books for passengers to read during the long voyage to Australia. Unlike the busy social areas, this room offered a calm place to relax, read, or keep in touch with family back home, making it an important retreat on FairSky's long migrant journeys. The Lido Lounge and bar was located at the aft end of the boat deck on FairSky. From its 11 full-height glass windows, passengers enjoyed a view over the ship's swimming pool and the aft decks. It featured many tables with comfortable chairs and a central bar, making it a relaxed spot to enjoy a drink while watching the pool area or ocean go by. In other words, the Lido Lounge and bar was a casual, open-air feeling public space where travelers could unwind, socialize, and take in the shipboard scenery near the pool. After emerging from dry dock, she was nearly ready to begin her new career. Following successful sea trials, she was fully crewed and stocked, making her all set for her maiden voyage in June. By 1958, Sitmar had secured the highly sought-after migrant contract to carry British settlers the famous 10-pound palms to Australia. On Thursday, the 26th of June, the FairSky departed Southampton at 2:20 p.m., almost fully booked with 1,430 passengers bound for Brisbane. Her voyage took her via Le Havre and the Suez Canal, then on to Colombo, before reaching Fremantle on Monday, the 21st of July. She continued on to Melbourne, arriving Sunday, the 27th of July, and then Sydney, where she stayed overnight on Tuesday, 29th of July. Her final outbound stop was Brisbane, where she arrived on Friday, the 1st of August. After completing her voyage to Australia, the FairSky made the return trip to Southampton, calling at the same ports along the way. The FairSky continued her regular service to Australia, and in December 1961, she made her first ever call to Auckland, New Zealand, a milestone among many firsts in her career. Another notable first was just around the corner. In 1962, she embarked on her very first cruise. On June 5th, 1967, the Suez Canal was closed following an Arab attack on Israel, marking the start of the Six-Day War. The canal remained blocked until the 5th of June, 1975. This closure had a significant impact on global shipping, forcing cargo ships and passenger liners to take the much longer route around the Cape of Good Hope to reach India, Asia, or Australia. Despite these challenges, the FairSky continued her Australian migrant service until 1970, becoming a familiar and much loved presence in both Australian and New Zealand ports. During the Suez Canal closure, it was decided to adjust her itinerary as follows: Rotterdam, Southampton, Lisbon, Casablanca, Tenerife, Cape Town, Durban, Fremantle, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Auckland, Wellington, Rarotonga, Suva, Pago Pago, Papeete, Acapulco, Balboa, Curaçao, and the Azores, before returning to Rotterdam. The canal remained closed until exactly 8 years later, on the 5th of June, 1975. In November 1969, during a voyage to Australia, the FairSky suddenly developed engine problems while sailing between Southampton and Cape Town. She was forced to remain in Cape Town for several days to undergo repairs a delay that gave passengers some unexpected extra shore leave. Once underway again, she continued slowly to Fremantle, arriving 12 days behind schedule. Additional repairs were then carried out, and passengers were eventually taken to their destinations. Meanwhile, Sitmar lost its migrant contract to the rising powerhouse of passenger shipping, the Greek Chandris line, which operated the former Matson liners, now named HMS Ellinis and Britannis, along with the ex-SS America, now SS Australis. Sitmar continued regular passenger services from Southampton to Australia and New Zealand until February 1972, when the FairSky was laid up in Southampton. The primary reason for this was the arrival of two newly rebuilt liners, the TS FairSky and TS Fairwind. Former Cunard ships, Corinthia and Sylvania, which Sitmar intended to deploy on the Australian service. At that time, the future of the FairSky looked uncertain. Meanwhile, the new twins were launched into the lucrative American luxury cruise market, achieving great success with cruises to the Caribbean, Mexico, and Alaska. After more than a year and a half in refit, the TS FairSky finally returned to service, departing Southampton on the 8th of November 1973, once again bound for Australia. On the 2nd of June 1974, the FairSky departed Southampton for what would be her final voyage from the UK. She arrived in Sydney in July, which would become her new home port, as she had been converted into a full-time cruise ship. The FairSky continued to thrive in her new role for 3 more years, until June 1977, when disaster struck. She collided with a recently submerged wreck near Jakarta, Indonesia, causing serious hull damage. To prevent her from sinking, the ship was deliberately run aground on a sandbar, with all passengers safely evacuated. After temporary repairs, she managed to sail under her own power to Singapore. However, once the full extent of the damage was assessed, it was decided that permanent repairs would not be undertaken. The vessel was initially destined for scrap, but was purchased by a Philippine consortium with plans to convert her into a floating hotel and casino under the new name Philippine Tourist. Tragically, before the conversion in Manila Bay could be completed, she was gutted by a fire. The wreck was eventually sold for demolition and arrived in Hong Kong under tow on the 27th of May 1980, bringing a sudden and final end to a long, varied, and otherwise highly successful career. And there we have it. The incredible life of the TS FairSky. From her origins as a wartime escort carrier to her elegant transformation into a one-class migrant ship, and finally her years as a beloved cruise liner, FairSky's story is one of constant reinvention and resilience. Though her final days ended in fire and demolition, the memories she created for thousands of passengers, whether crossing oceans as hopeful migrants or enjoying leisurely cruises, remain unforgettable. Ships like the FairSky remind us that maritime history is never just about steel and engines. It's about the people, the journeys, and the stories carried across the waves.
And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now, be As well, sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.